Hello and welcome to the UCM Podcast. I am your host, Tony Hook. Joining me is a colleague and a friend, Dr. Brian Pokorski. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Tony.
For sure. Yeah, I'm looking forward to our talk today. I think this is an important topic as it pertains to preparing for an associate and that whole dynamic. Obviously, this has been a sensitive topic for some people because they've had a soured relationship. But before we get into that, I wanted you just to share a little bit about who you are and where you're at, and a little bit about the practice, maybe.
Sure. So, Dr. Brian Pokorski, I currently have a practice in Buffalo, New York. Go Bills. I have been in practice. I have been in practice for coming up on 25 years soon. So it's been a great ride. I went to New York Chiropractic College, graduated from there in 2000, and did not do an associateship. Did not do really any internships outside of what's required in clinic at school. Had some experience going to different doctors' offices, and right or wrong, just determined I think I can do this and hung a shingle and started a private practice. NYCC grad, diversified as far as the quote unquote technique. What else? But I was also like, I'm assuming that there are students watching this. Biggest point of interest as it pertained to my field doctor, the guy who not that he sent me to school, but the guy I was seeing that motivated me to go into chiropractic. Great, great guy. But the big words of wisdom from him at that moment in time is, as a student, like, take every single class you can take from a technique perspective, from a practice management perspective, whatever. Long story short, you pay dime on a dollar to do it. And so I was very much outside the four walls of the school. I would tell you probably 2 to 3 weekends a month, I was out doing something. So it didn't matter if it was Gonstead, it didn't matter if it was flexion distraction or active release, technique or whatever, or therapy. But yeah, I was out there doing all of it. Right. And it was a dime on a dollar at the time. So yeah, it was reasonable to, get that exposure to multiple techniques, different philosophies, orientations to practice, etc. So went into practice. It was a little rough initially. There's no doubt about that. I did 3 years basically just renting space. Again, still in Western New York. But yeah, just rented like a 1,500 square foot space, and was doing okay. Was paying the bills, but wasn't really getting me where I wanted to go. I was kind of the black sheep at NYCC. I asked too many questions and, looked back at these crazy green books. It was nuts. And always kind of got excited about like, well, see, this guy's got a research thing in Iowa and he's like helping people and not really touching their lower back, but now they don't have sciatica anymore. And
what's up with that? Right.
Yeah. And that's kind of crazy. Right. And because I asked those questions, again, I kind of got like, blackballed a little bit. And then I went, oh my gosh, then ready for this, Tony, I went to DE. And then that was it. I was certifiable at that point.
Give love, serve.
Yeah. And, but it gave me different perspective. Right. And then I met upper cervical providers. We didn't have any access to that at NYCC whatsoever. So it was just a very unique perspective, but it always sort of sat there in the back of my brain. And then fast forward, I'm still kind of working through. Things are getting a little bit better. Practice is getting steadily busy over, years. And then, met up with Dr. Ed Gigliotti here in Rochester, New York, only about an hour away.
Great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful person. And he was putting on a Lyceum in Rochester. And so I was able to kind of take that in. And I was starting to hear things that actually made sense from a chiropractic perspective and things that I wasn't seeing in practice doing a multitude of full spine type techniques. Right. And that was always something that I'm like, man, that's super cool. I'd love to learn that, but I just didn't have access or opportunity at NYCC.
Yeah.
They were great. And again, I will say this intentionally. NYCC was awesome at getting me through my board exams. I needed to be licensed in order to practice. I don't have like a sore bone in my body from working with them. I just wish we would have had a little bit different exposure to some things. So,
right.
So I meet up, and I'm gonna really condense this for time's sake, but meet up with Ian Bulow. Again, he's speaking my language. I'm pretty excited, and I'm like, hey,
another great guy.
Another awesome dude. Awesome dude. So I'm like, hey, this is exactly what I expected chiropractic to be, but I'm not there now. I'm 10 years into practice. How do I get there?
Right.
That's a unique situation to be in.
Yeah.
And at the first interaction, basically patted me on the head and said, "Oh, that's great. I'm glad you're interested," and literally walked away. And I'm like, well, do I smell? Did I say something wrong? Like, what are you doing? So a whole year goes by and I'm contacting other doctors. There's a doc in Canada that I was kind of talking to who was a former knee chest practitioner who, Dr. James Aldrich, again, wonderful human being. How do I get into this? He's like, well, read volume 18 and then read it again and again, and then call me. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that sounds great. And I learned some things, man. The idea of unlockment of these drugs, like there were very valuable, bits and pieces there, but that's not how you develop an upper cervical technique or practice. So, Jim was great. And he kind of said, all right, well, try and find a knee chest coursework that you can get into. And I'm scouring the internet and there's nothing. I'm like, okay, well, all right. Well, now it's a year. Now, Dr. Gagliardi is doing another lyceum out in Rochester. Bunch of people going there. They're sharing research. Ian is there. Dr. Andy, oh gosh, I can't remember his last name off the top of my head. Anyway, there's a bunch of different folks there. A lot of them happen to be Blair. That's sort of an aside right now. But the bottom line was, I'm like, I'm going there and I'm going to talk with Dr. Bulow and we're going to have a conversation, damn it, because I want this now. Because now you're telling me I can't have it. And there's a problem. That 4-year-old self in me was like, that's not, now we're going to have words, right? We got to go. So I literally corner Ian. I'm like, so listen, we talked last year. You kind of like pushed me off, but I'm not going to take no as an answer. So tell me how to do what it is that you're doing. And Ian, being Ian, because it was very easy, rolled right off the tongue. You should just go to the Diplomate, like go online, ICA, and, sign up for the craniocervical Diplomate. They'll teach everything. Like, oh, it's that easy. I should have known. Oh my gosh, whatever. So I go onto the ICA, find the Diplomate. I literally sign up. I've never performed an upper cervical adjustment at this point, have read about it a little bit, and have never been adjusted via an upper cervical practitioner.
And here you are jumping into the DCCJP. So when we first met, you were just barely getting into upper cervical because this was, we met back at Denver.
Right.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. You came off as like, hey, I'm the pro.
Well, fake it till you make it, brother.
Like I don't know what to tell. Like I'm in Buffalo. That's what we do.
That's what we do. Yeah. But again, Guy Reefman, right? No joke. Like fake it till you make it. This was part of the persona that I had developed or created as being a chiropractor in Western New York. So
right.
So I sign up for this thing. They accept me. I still to this moment don't know why they just let me in, to be honest with you, because I've had conversations, right? I went to the wrong school. I didn't have the right mentor. I didn't, my parents, one of my parents wasn't an upper cervical chiropractor. These are, unless you have a foot in the door somehow, there is no access. Like it's very difficult to get into an upper cervical mindset and procedures and techniques and practice without having all of those things. Yeah. And that's just, I don't know, coming from NYCC, I can assure you that was my perspective.
That's your experience. Yeah.
So I get my foot in the door with the Diplomate and I start showing up and
you start asking questions again.
Yeah. And the other students, the other doctors that are in the room, they range from, no joke, like zero, from myself as zero experience to students who have more experience than me to doctors who've had 30 years in professional practice and have mastered their technique.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and it's like literally day one. And it's like, hey, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. So, okay, yeah, I'm Brian Pokorski. I practice in Buffalo, all that stuff. And I think this stuff is great and I'm really excited to learn. Nobody ever questions me. Okay, cool. All right, thanks, Brian. Next person, whatever. So we go to the first class, was anatomy, the first anatomy class. And I'm in there and I'm enjoying it. I'm learning a lot. I go to lunch with my peers and we've got our little clique that we're forming, to which, by the way, big shout out to the Diplomate program, because those people are now lifelong friends. They are awesome people. So I'm a huge supporter of the Diplomate.
Great program. 100%. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Drinking from a fire hose for 3.5 years if you are this guy, because there was no.
Yeah, you went from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. Yeah.
So, but this is the point, right? So I go to lunch on the very first day of the very first class, and it was on anatomy. And it was on all of the anomalies and differences amongst the craniocervical junction, right? The structure of it. So I'm sitting there going like, hey, I just heard that you're supposed to be like proficient, like deemed proficient and certified proficient in a technique as it pertains to the Diplomate. By the time you're done, which one of these techniques takes all this stuff into account? And I've got a Blair practitioner sitting across from me, and he's got a big crap-eating grin on his face, and he says, "We do, whatever." And everybody else goes, "Yeah, they do," like meaning orthospinalogy and NUCA. Everyone's represented, which is part of the beauty of the Diplomate program.
Agreed.
So, I start, talking with this fella, and long story short is, all right, then Blair it is. It was very cut and dry. I didn't even really have, and this, again, unique in the context of I was not married to a technique prior to going into this thing. So my perspective was different. Okay. So I go on to Blair and start with the process there. Again, Ian was a great instructor. I've been instructed by several other folks, Gordon Elder, Dr. Tom Forrest, et cetera now. And I go to the annual and I go, I'm now into the Blair community at that point.
Sure.
But I'm still asking questions, and that poses problems for, not problems for upper cervical folks, but like sometimes they are married to a specific circumstance. And if you say the wrong thing the wrong way, they might take some offense to it. Yeah, you're rocking the boat, right? And that's not the intention. The intention is just like, did you ever think about this? Like, because I'm learning from the orthospinalogy folks that they look at it this way. What are your thoughts on it?
Fair question.
Yeah. Like, let's have, but that's the beauty again of the Diplomate is we can have that open discussion to say, all right, yeah, this is really cool. Look at that. Hey, how could I use that to help my patients? That's it. Again, that's the end game, right? So
there's more than one way to move an atlas too. So
right, and I think you and I may have talked about this before, Tony, but I've been adjusted by I'll call them 5 or 6 major different techniques. And I've had different experiences with all of them with different challenges I may or may not have even thought I was having. And they're all adjusting me on the right anterior portion of my atlas. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that yet. I'll figure it out. So then I'm in Blair, though. Let's go back to that. Now I've got a choice. I should get a double L frame, digital X-ray system, or you can buy this sexy cone beam thing, man. Like, let's go, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to. I don't want to go backwards, right? That's a thing that's a pet peeve of mine. So, all right, I probably was at like an ICA upper cervical forum or something of that nature, and I start to see the guys who are the salespeople for some different cone beams. And I start talking with Jeff Scharf. He's the guy from Plan Mecca, the Viso G7. Myself has that. There's one in Sherman. There's Dr. Evans has one. Dr. Beebe has it. So I'm like, well, that one's got it's the biggest, bestest, prettiest, sexiest looking one. Like, clearly that's what I need. So I sign up for that. But Dr. Hollowell is doing the coursework. I know. Okay. So I'm in the midst of the Diplomate. I'm going and taking my Blair technique courses. I'm now investing in a cone beam, and I have to learn how to actually use that as though it were the X-rays of yesteryear, right?
Yeah.
It was a lot, plus I'm learning about all these other techniques and, meeting all these different people and traveling all over the country, because at the time this was pre-COVID, right? So we were all over the place and it was awesome. Like, I would highly, highly recommend it. I managed to get my first upper cervical adjustment, happened to be a NUCA practitioner. And it was the life-changing adjustment that everybody always talks about, that is the chiropractic miracle, but nobody allowed me to get because I was at the wrong school.
Right.
And in
right.
Buffalo, we don't have a slew. It's not, live in Atlanta where we've got,
Right.
100 different upper cervical practitioners, surrounding life. Right. So yeah, it was amazing. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
But that was it. Like, now I'm solid. Like, before I was like kind of, I was maybe ankle knee deep, like, all right, I'm going to do this, but I need more information. I need to have the experience.
You experienced it.
And as soon as I had the experience, I was like, yep, let's go. But this is my impression again with NUCA. It's an art, right? And the long story short is, am I going to be able to do that with an active practice, with a family, going through the diplomate? I'm not going to get, level 5 certified in NUCA anytime soon. So Blair, I was able to wrap my head around that pretty easily. The people are awesome, and I was able to get certified before I graduated from the diplomate. And then I really held off. I wasn't marketing anything. I wasn't doing I was administering upper cervical adjustments very cautiously, meaning I had a practice full of full spine people that I was doing fine with, and they were getting reasonable results and they were happy. I wasn't just magically transitioning all of them overnight to upper cervical.
Right.
So, but they would come in and they'd say, hey, you know what? I'm having this other problem that we haven't talked about. You think you can help me? Like, well, actually, there's another technique that I've just got certified in. I've got my diplomate in this, and that's a fancy specialty within the chiropractic profession. We should take a cone beam scan and see if that can
here. Yeah.
And now
were you bringing in, kind of influence as you're kind of looking at, you mentioned orthospinology, you mentioned NUCA, you even mentioned knee chest at one point. So are you kind of bringing in some of those concepts too, and just the way that you're approaching, the patient in front of you?
100%. Yeah. I've taken all of the Atlas orthogonal coursework twice, actually, including the dissection in Atlanta. I've taken all 4, I don't know if it's 2 or 4, I just can't remember now, courses of orthospinology with Dr. Chad Barillas, and awesome, did great with that.
Yeah.
But then you start to, like, I've got my Blair foundation, and that's just how it worked out. So I like, the way I explained this one time, I actually think worked out pretty good. I like to actually see, like, I want to get in the weeds, man. I want to see the misalignment. Dr. Blair created that system to physically wrap your head around it and see how the bone has moved out of alignment. Whereas orthospinology, NUCA, even AO, their orthogonal systems, tons of value, love all of them, gives you more of a, I don't know, like the effects potentially of that singular misalignment. What I like to do is, frankly, use all of it. It's almost like a series of backup systems for me. It's like, okay, great. I can see the misalignment. I'm right anterior. Fantastic. Is the skull high on the right? Right? Like using an orthogonal, methodology when using or adapting those to cone beam scans. And then frankly, like, part of it is like, all right, great. Is the patient responding in kind to this? And if they are, awesome. If I look at it and I say, all right, well, you know what? I think because I use the Titron also, I'm like, I feel like this person should be clearing out better. Let me go back to the x-rays. Let's look at this a little bit more closely. Let's do a different system of analysis. Is there something I think I can tweak? Again, I'm not married to a technique. So if I start with Blair and I'm just not feeling it, like they're not responding as well as I think they should or could,
Mhm.
You know what? We're going to try
Why
out
not?
some
Why not
technology.
switch it up?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
let's try
gonna
this.
let's
Let's approach it
yeah. Yeah.
different angle. Absolutely. I'm with you. Yeah,
So yeah, so
absolutely.
I kind of like that. It gives me options for the patients, and again, I have had different techniques adjust me in different ways, and I've had numerous different experiences as the result of that. So if I want to
Sure.
have, if I want a patient to have a different experience, okay, great. It's not square peg, square hole every time, and I'm not trying to bash them into a round hole either. Let's change. Let's change it a little bit. Let's give them an
Yeah.
opportunity that they may not have had otherwise. So
Yeah.
again, that may be blasphemy. I don't know.
No, so,
Whatever.
well, let me. Well, yeah, right. Depends who you ask, I guess, right? Because
Right.
there are these little niches where it's like almost like clans. Like each technique has its own clan. And
Mhm.
there's warfare. Between it. And I've always felt
So
like I'm kind
back
of
in
on
the
the outside.
day,
I don't have a horse in the race. I
right?
just want to see people get well.
Yep.
And maybe each of us, you all have different pieces of the puzzle, and collectively we can actually get a better picture. That's how my mind works. And
And
so
and again, shout out to the diplomate program, right? They're
that
giving
does it.
people an
It's
opportunity to drop the egos and
yeah,
have a conversation
right,
to say,
right.
"Hey, geez, I had really good results with this, and look at how this works." And uh, I don't know. That's the opportunity. That's where I think my perspective and having the I don't know, the ability and the wherewithal and the guts to kind of just take that big leap and go right in the
Yeah.
deep end and do my best to keep my head above water. That's what it gave me. So
Yeah.
it was a unique experience. So with that though, like I use in the practice, I use the cone beam, I use the orthospinology pelvis calipers. I use some of the assessment from AO as far as palpation and leg lengths, and I use Blair for the prill checks and for there's a lot, but the long story short is ultimately you find the patterns, you make the corrections, the
Right.
patients respond, use the thermography, use all the things, right? So
Sure.
which also leads me to like I have all the toys, which is awesome. So it's a lot of fun.
Right. And I'll say this, like having talked with hundreds of upper cervical docs, like your setup is unique. I mean, just in some of that mindset there, being kind of more is eclectic the right word, more inclusive as far as just
Maybe, yeah.
and willing to look at things, and then also, but still principled, of course, but then also, like I said, the all the toys, all the tech, is just how do I find out how to best help somebody? How do I find out what the misalignment is and make a correction?
Yeah.
They get well. That's the win. That's a neat little combo you got there.
I mean, ultimately, that's what not only gets people well, but that's what gets them to spread the word. It's what gets them to
Mm.
come back. It's what, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the self-perpetuating business model that with a diversified practice, frankly, like it's going to be mostly personality driven, which is fine. But when you want to help more people, which I'm at the point of now, it can't just be this beautiful shining face all the time, right? So,
There you go.
so
But when you can have both, man, that's a
right,
1-2 punch there.
yeah, you got that going for you.
So
So yeah,
you just mentioned some growth though. Okay. And in the last, year plus, you've seen some growth to the point where you're wanting to even look at no longer being a solo practitioner, but to bring somebody onto the team who's a doctor, have an associate. And so you've worked a lot over the last little bit. Actually, we have too,
yep,
but
mhm,
mindset, systems,
yes,
strategies. And again, the reason is to try to cultivate, like prepare ahead of time for
mhm,
this
yep,
win-win relationship for an associate. We don't just want to, I think that this my experience is of talking with docs who've had a soured associate experience, not just as an owner, but also as the associate. There's everybody
right.
that's watching this, and listening to it. You probably know somebody, or it was you that had that experience. And a lot of times, oftentimes, too often, it's just we need somebody. You're going to work. Come on, and it's like, yeah, but there's more to it than that. And so you've really taken some time to kind of work on, like I said, mindset, systems,
Mhm.
and I think that kind of level, that kind of intentionality is absolutely fantastic. So walk us through, um, what had to change with like mindset wise. Let's start with
So
that.
I don't know that I've shared this with you, Tony. So years ago, I had, looking to grow the practice, looking to make some changes. I got into some spinal decompression and started to grow in a different direction. It's clearly very profitable. It was helping some people. I was happy with it. Found that I did need some help with that also. Did not have any systems in place and said, hey, listen, and this was just weird coincidence, psychic phenomenon. Had a young lady come into the office. She went to NYCC. She's local to the area. She wants to be an associate in my office. And at that point, I'm like, why do you want to come work for me? Like this is weird, because I wasn't prepared, right? At all. Right. Zero. I'm like, well, I don't even know how much I can afford you. I talk with my accountant, like this is all for right now, but let's try and develop a practice within the practice for you and see where this takes us. Long story short is within, I think, maybe even less than 6 months, like it was a disaster. She was a lovely person, but like nothing was going the right direction, frankly. And we parted ways at that point. And I'm like, you know what, that clearly wasn't for me. Maybe it wasn't for me at that moment, but I'm like, yeah, like I'm kind of a stick in the mud when it's like, all right, I had a bad taste. I'm like, I'm not going back to that well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're not alone in that.
So, and not having been an associate, I didn't know what to, compare it to either. So fast forward, a bunch of years, I'm through the diplomate, I'm through everything. I'm implementing the procedures. My practice is like, and thanks to UCM also, by the way, because with the marketing and with all of the interaction that you and I have had, as a separate aside, it's given me back that mindset of, okay, great. First of all, why am I doing this? Who am I trying to do this with? Right? Like, there's going to be a specific person and personality type that goes along with this. Meaning as an associate that I'm looking to attract, right? Then I don't want to just magically try and pull the trigger on this. All right, great. Can I set up a 30, 60, 90-day training schedule? Can I make sure that we are having the conversations that are necessary so that you can learn the procedures that are branded throughout my practice or the chiropractic lifestyle practice that make it unique within the market? I was talking about this with a fellow earlier. I had a business mentor of mine. I'd rather be a mile deep and an inch wide, a mile deep and an inch wide versus a mile wide and an inch deep. You don't want to be, in my opinion, you want to be that niche practice. You want to have the ability, and not even so much from a condition specific sort of thing. Because again, I'm fairly principled with that. I want to move the bone. I want the body to heal. We want, I talk philosophy with patients. Like I'm all in on that. But there's got to be that level of expertise, and I feel like through the diplomate program, through my practice and life experience, like, okay, I'm ready to share that, right?
Right.
So can I set up the systems, the key result indicators, the KPIs, all of these things that are necessary to not just train an individual to be a doc in the box and whatever, just like go through the numbers and make these things happen, but to like get somebody invested so that they want to be part of the practice and expand their ability to help people. Right. So, that's kind of where we're at. And you and I have spent a ton of time, I think, in the grand scheme of, setting up expectations, looking at, okay, this is a 30, 60, 90-day set of training requirements before you like lay a hand on a patient, how are we going to, and I say we intentionally because I had no expectation of like, it's not all on me and it's not all on them. I want to find a bridge where we can sit there and say like, all right, if you do this, then that, right. Working through, with UCM, like, great. Can we just simply, it's not simple. I don't want to say that, but can we ramp up the marketing budget and make the phone ring more, right? Because I have like Tony, honest to God, like I am all good on patients. Like I do not need a bunch of new patients. I'm at the lowest level of your marketing, dollars per, because like, I can handle, a handful or, whatever, but
does the upper cervical mission stop there?
Well, no, see,
Not
that's
if
the problem, right? Because like people keep calling me, Tony.
the demand is still
Right,
there. There are still sick and suffering people,
right,
and you're going, hey, I could cap it here and
right.
just work it
Yep.
out, and
Wrap it up.
eventually I'll retire and the practice will fizzle. But you're going, no, man, we gotta come on. I've got some stuff to share. You mentioned that earlier, to be able to, bring somebody on board, pour into them, and help that other person who's
Yeah, I've
got
I've
the
got
itch.
another mentor of mine who's incredibly incredible human being, incredible practitioner, probably one of the best in the world at what he does. I am hopeful that everything that he does doesn't fizzle out with him. And that's not okay. Like, it would
Agreed.
be a disservice to the profession. And he's done a ton for the profession. I don't want to minimize
Yeah.
what he's shared, but there's more, right?
Mhm.
And again, when you have your eye on the prize of like, all right, let's get people well, right? Let's make this
Yeah.
happen, long term. I look at that and saying it's not even about like a legacy type practice. Like it's not about my name, right? It's not about that at all. Like, how can I help more people?
Right.
Great. I've only got two hands, man. Like, and there's only so many hours in a day. We
That's right.
need to move forward in in a slightly different trajectory so that we can accommodate for all of that. But that's the next step
Yeah.
in the mission for me. That's where we're at.
Mhm.
It's like, all right, I've got all that stuff sort of nailed down, and we're still sort of sifting through it a little bit. But like at this point,
Mhm.
we're ready to pull the trigger on finding the
Right.
right person for the practice.
Yeah, yeah, which is so key, right? So like you've done a lot of hard like work of looking at, okay, I remember there's times I've asked you questions like, hey, what's your system for dot dot dot? And you're like, yeah.
It's the way I do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way. We just kind of did. And so it's like, okay, well, if you're wanting it to be a win-win, right, and grow, it's like, okay, let's have a system. So when someone comes in, it's like, here's what we do for that. And you have worked hard on that. Your team has worked hard on that to create it. You've talked about patient education. You've talked about we've talked about the day one, day twos, the care plans. We've tracking stats,
So it's
team
not,
meetings,
oh gosh, all
all
of
of
that
it.
stuff.
All of it.
There's, I guess part of it is like, first of all, and this, I didn't know this when I first hung a shingle, man. This is stuff that I picked up over the last 20 some odd years. First of all, success doesn't have to be a struggle. With that in mind, I feel like, and I'll say we, Tony, meaning you and I, have developed kind of a turnkey training situation so that it's regimented and like, yeah, you can produce the results that chiropractic lifestyle promises
Mm,
for their would be, patients and practice members.
yeah.
Is it a process? Yeah, but to your point, right? I have we're putting the finishing touches on like a 21-day like patient education process, right? So it's like every day there's a checklist of 20 some odd different things that we can have conversations about so that we're not talking about the weather and their pain, their whatever. Like, all right, great, let's stay on task, let's stay focused.
That's
But
right.
that's stuff that like, I can share that with another practitioner pretty easily now because it's
Right.
standardized. It's literally
Yes.
turnkey. I've gone through, and just like you were saying, I've videoed as well as transcribed all of
Right.
my, like, the things I say during a consultation, examination, report
Yep.
of discovery, what I say during the cone beam examination, re-examinations, all of these individual steps and pieces to keep the patient invested, to keep the communication open and flowing, to give them value added information so that they are excited about the process.
Mm-hmm.
And they dig it. Like, frankly, like, because there are systems, it becomes reproducible.
Right.
I'm not looking to make like little mini me's. That's not what I'm looking at all either. But it gives you the guidelines to say, okay, great, this is what's going on, and then custom
Sure.
tailor it to that particular patient's day, right? Oh, I
Right.
slept like crap last night, doc. I'm a mess. Well, it happens to be a re-exam today. Here's what we're going to expect. Your heart rate variability, probably not going to be ideal. Oh yeah, by the way, I have all that stuff too.
More toys, more, and I guarantee there's going to be more to come too as tech comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's ways to make sure that it's not repetitious for the patient.
Right.
Make sure that there's value added for them. Ended up, with that said, okay, great. Set the expectation for the re-exam might be a little different if they had slept properly and why. But then say, and you know what? By the way, I don't know if we've had this conversation, but here's a pillow that I recommend. I don't sell these things in the office, Tony. The bottom line is like, here's information. Go buy it off Amazon.
Right.
Like I'm
Sure.
good. Like whatever,
Sure.
But this would be a great idea, and maybe if it gets you an extra 30 minutes of sleep, cool. Nothing wrong with that.
So if I'm an associate, or I mean, if I'm a doctor and looking to do an associateship somewhere, or you're a student that's, I'm a student that's getting ready to graduate or whatever, or even a practice owner is like, hey, owning sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. Or looking to learn. I mean, this is an awesome opportunity. I mean, with the the mindset of, okay, like, yes, I focus on Blair, but let's look at this way, and look all these systems in place to be able that there's structure for that patient process, for the onboarding, all of those things, the training and the equipping. Like, this is what a huge opportunity for somebody looking to join the team. What kind of person though are you looking for? Like what's the ideal team player for this doctor that you're looking for?
Demographically, I don't care if it's a man or woman. I don't care how many years or what level of experience you have in practice or you're right out of school. That stuff almost immaterial. Mm-hmm. What I'm looking for, and I'm stealing this from the wonderful coach of the Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott. Hungry and humble. You want to participate, you want to learn, you're ready to help people get better. And that's kind of the thing. So okay, great. I'm the quote unquote clinic director or whatever baloney that is. But the bottom line is, okay, great. I still do. Like, I have my hands very much into the business of it, right? I'm the guy who cuts the checks for accounts payable. I'm the one who, is collecting information and data as it pertains to numbers. I do all those things because I kind of, well, first of all, it's necessary, but I kind of like it. And I have support systems through my office staff to help, me do that stuff too. But that's not for everybody. But if you want to learn that stuff, like, I'm okay with that too. Like, I want somebody who's going to be invested in the process, who wants to help people, but recognizes that you can't just sit on your hands and magically think people are going to show up. Like, you have to hustle a little bit, right? I've done it for most of my career. So it's a situation where, I'm still excited to do it. If it's somebody who's looking to park their butt in a chair and magically have people show up, that's going to be a problem. You're not going to,
Right.
And from a business perspective, take this into account. You ultimately have to earn your salary. So do I. So does everybody, right? That's kind of the way of the world. But it's more than that, because you got to have the right, again, attitude, disposition to want to, serve and be, I don't know, invested in the community that you're with.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
So somebody who's excited to learn, to participate, to start, getting their hands, into the work. It'd be great if that individual had upper cervical experience, but frankly, if they didn't, if they want to learn, I might know a guy, so.
And that was your journey.
And not necessarily me. But the world is is the oyster, as they say. And, go and I'll go and do another orthospinalogy class right now. Let's go, whatever. I think I've done all three of the Blair modules. I think three times, 4 times, maybe. Again, AO, I have an AO table. I don't have a knee chest table yet. I'm kind of looking for one of those. So, but I don't feel comfortable enough to administer a knee chest adjustment yet either. So I'm like, all right, I got to learn that more. So
first things first, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So you're looking for somebody, you're looking for a go-getter. You're looking for someone who's not afraid to just jump in it and get it done. You're looking for somebody who's coachable. right? That's what I'm hearing. You said hungry and humble, and a team player and wants to serve. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and I think there's enough, I guess I'm going to say, excitement within the practice and the number of people that we get an opportunity to see with stuff that this is the beauty of it, Tony. I hate treating people for lower back pain. Hate it. Spinal stenosis is my arch enemy, and I never ever want to see anybody with that. And I'm not joking. Like, that is something I just despise, right?
Okay.
If people want to do that, God bless them. It's just not me, right? But I love, love, love. You're coming to me for vertigo. You've got headaches that are inretractable, and you've done a million things. I'm like, I literally, like, this is like the Pavlov thing. Like, I start drooling, man. Like, this is so good because I know, like, this is the answer, right? And not to be pompous or whatever, but like, when you see it enough times,
Yeah,
your confidence starts to grow.
mm-hmm.
And you're just able to provide the goods, right? I mean, and that's part of the deal. So, but that's part of where, like, at this point, it's like, yeah, like, I know all this stuff and it's all awesome, but I don't want it to stop here either.
That's
right.
That's right.
So giving an opportunity for somebody, and I'm not looking, by the way, we should say this, I don't want it to be a short-term thing. I don't want somebody to learn from me for 6 months and be like, oh, okay, well, that was awesome. Thanks. I'll see you. Like, no, let's work together so that you are incentivized, meaning as the associate, to, like, continue to remain invested, in the community, within the practice, all these things. Yeah, I don't want to do this. This is not like, I've never ever had a vision. Well, I'll explain the vision that I would never want to have. This is not a PI practice where where I'm going to have you adjusting, this individual adjusting, 60 to 100 people in a day. And it's just this round robin of, going to different rooms and documenting stuff so we get paid a pittance on our fees. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, like, literally shoot me now. It's terrible. And again, nothing wrong with those practices. It's just not this guy.
It's not you. Yeah, it's not congruent with you. Yeah.
Right. So no, I'm looking for somebody who's willing to not just be a lifelong learner, but again, get invested in the process. And make it worthwhile, both educationally, financially, all of the things, so that it's a win-win-win, relationship.
Awesome. And if somebody, is interested, what's their step to take?
Probably the easiest way to do it. I'll throw two different things out there. First of all, my cell phone is usually connected to me. So 716-812-0140. I fully expect to get Ian calling me now and pranking me, and whatever.
As soon as you said it, you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's a bad idea, but got to put it out there. But go to the website. So mychiropracticlifestyle.com. Mm-hmm. Everything's on there. All the contact information you could ever possibly want. You can reach me via email through there. But call, text, I don't really, whatever. All of the things are good as far as methods of communication.
Right. You also have an ad online.
An ad on, what does that mean?
They could search for you on with the job posting.
An ad, an advertisement online. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do Google ads through UCM.
No. I'm saying that you got for your job posting. You got the job posting.
Pardon me. Yeah. So I'm again, pardon my misinterpretation there, but yeah. So through the Handshake app, we're on there now. I put that through. That was supposed to go through NYCC and Duville. Again, neither one of those being strong upper cervically, but again, I went to a school that didn't offer upper cervical either, so I'm not willing to shut anybody out. But yeah, sooner or later, I will, we'll put a posting on the ICA site, Blair's site, anybody that'll have me, But yeah,
but for now, it sounds like get look them up online, give you a call at the office, or spam you at 2 a.m. on your cell phone.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be exactly what Bulow's thinking right now. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I hope we find somebody that's, I know we're going to, and I
Mhm.
hope sooner than later, finding that all-star that's going to be a great fit for you and your community and your team there too in the office. You've got a team built that you've built there as well. So
Yeah, and we're
it's a
expanding that
yeah.
too. We've got an
Hmm.
iron in the fire. We're going to hire a new front desk person very shortly here. But we did the same thing, by the way. That we've got a procedure manual that's
Yeah.
super solid. Amina, who works with me and manages the office, she's a rock star. And the bottom line is, yeah, created a wonderful procedures manual. We just went through and updated the employee manual. These are the things that a lot of practices that they don't
Don't
have
have
any
it.
of that.
Mm-mm.
And I feel
Nope.
like they're doing themselves a disservice, but it takes time, man. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes money to go through all of this stuff. But I don't want to get caught in a situation where it's a bad experience for people.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So yeah, so it
Well,
works out. The orientation is, yeah, like, we'll bring this next front office person on, train them up, and then have the next thing on the docket is, yeah, an associate doc to help with the hands on and the practice.
awesome. Sounds good. I
Yeah,
look forward to hearing it, the success on that.
I think it's going to be great. We just, again, all in due time, and it's just a matter of making sure it all, like, step by step, ready to roll.
Fits. Yep, absolutely. Doc, as always, I appreciate your time and thanks for sharing your insights and your journey to
Mhm.
today. And appreciate your wisdom, your wise words.
Wise words, dear Lord. At least some of them aren't jokes. That's good. But no, I appreciate you having me on, Tony. It's been a pleasure to work with you. I also consider you a friend, and yeah, it's been a wonderful journey. I do think that you've helped me through a lot of the logistical step by step, hey, let's make this a win-win-win for people type of thing, even as it pertains to hiring. I mentioned Amina.
Yeah.
We went through that process together, and I learned a lot through the hiring process there. um, and then Judy, who also works with me, by the way, 17. She worked with me for 17 years. Took a 5-year hiatus because she had a slew of grandkids all at the same time. Now all those grandkids are in school, and she's back. And so, like, yeah, we established pretty good long-term relationships. So
Right on. It's a pleasure serving you.
excellent. Well,
So,
thank you.
yeah. And for those joining us and watching, thanks for keying in here. Be sure to give Dr. Brian a call here if you're interested in that associate position. And as I always say, go team upper cervical.
And go Bills.